Hi, this is My Keys to Music and I'm Mark. Thanks for joining me on this video. Today we're going to talk about the Nord Stage 3 and the output channels. You have some interesting options you can do with the Nord Stage 3 because you have 4 actual output slots or output channels, if you will, and that gives you some neat opportunities. So this entire video was actually inspired by this question. It's not the first time a question like this has been asked, but this is the one that pushed me over the edge to say it's time for a video. So AstroNavigator 1812 asks, how do I split the keyboard in such a way that I have my bass on the left side and organ on the right, but I want to run the bass channel into the amp and the organ into the line input? So I need to separate the outputs. Is this possible? Thanks in advance. Actually, it's very possible. And I'm going to show you right now exactly how to do that and maybe some scenarios where you can take advantage of these neat options. So let's grab our Nord Stage 3, turn it around, we'll look in the back, and we'll quickly realize that there are in fact 4 channels available to us. And they look a little something like this. Now, besides the channels themselves, you also have to consider panel A and panel B. Because of the way the Nord Stage 3 works, it actually gives you independence on those panels. So you can play panel A and have outputs accordingly, and then you can play panel B and have a different set of outputs accordingly. You can play both simultaneously and your sounds will be derived as such. So in this video, I'm going to show you a little bit about how to access these output channels, how to assign sounds to them, and just you'll have a total mastery of this feature by the end of the video. So let's dig in and we'll do the hands-on portion now, and thanks for joining me. Okay, I happen to have here Royal Grand 3D A11. I've been playing with this sound, so it is not currently set to the default settings that you'd get out of the factory. I have just my piano engine on, and I've got it so that my panels only play one at a time. So click both buttons, and only panel A is the one that I'm focusing on. So let's go into these output settings and see what we can do. So hold the Shift key and select System. That's how you get there. And you want to navigate up to page 6, and you'll see a setting here called Output Routing Mode. And it will most likely be set to Global, which means that all my programs are going to be set using the same output settings versus Program, which means that only this program, and in this case it was Royal Grand 3D A11, only this program will be affected. So I'm going to set it to Global so that the settings I do here will affect every program going forward, and those are the override settings. All right, now that we've got that set, let's go to the next page here and you'll see some interesting options. These are system settings for the output channels 1 through 4, and right now you'll see, let's just focus on this first column, main 1 through 2. What that means is all the sounds that you hear are going through channel 1 and 2, or going out of channel 1 and 2. Let's see what options we have here. We have 1 and 2, we have 3 and 4 only, and remember, if it's set to 3 and 4, it's only going to come out of 3 and 4. Here, it's only going to come out of 1 and 2. And in this case, it would be only channel 3, only channel 4, or all 4 channels 1 through 4. So those are the options you have for your main setting. Now the next setting here in the middle is sub. Now this gives you an interesting option. You can pick one of 3 sound engines, organ, piano, or synth, as a way to override. In other words, I can have my synth, let's turn the synth on, go out of destination 3 and 4. So in this case, the piano would go out of channels 1 and 2, and the synth would go out of channels 3 and 4. Let's take that another level. Let's just say I had my organ engine on. You don't see the organ engine, but I've turned it on. And you could say that, well, I want my organ to go out of 3 and 4, or maybe I want my organ to go out of just channel 3, or just channel 4. So for the destination, I get channels 1 through 2. And notice how it puts in the brackets saying, well, you're already going out of 1 and 2. So yeah, you can set it to 1 and 2, but it really makes no sense to do so because you've already got it going out of 1 and 2. Here, okay, I'll do 3 and 4, or just 3, or just 4. So that's interesting, and also pay attention to the word global here, reminding us that everything we're doing here is on the global side of the house. All right, so that's that. Now, take this another level and you can click Panel B, and now you've just realized you get a whole nother set of routing options. So this becomes really interesting. So let's just say that I'm going to turn my organ off here and just turn my synth on for Panel B. And then I'll go back to Panel A real quickly and just turn the piano on and turn the synth off. So now on Panel A, I have just the piano going out of 1 and 2. Let's just take off this sub for a second and put that back to the default settings. So piano is going out of 1 and 2 on Panel A. Panel B, we want to say that the synth is going out of 3 and 4. And we'll turn the sub off and all that. So that's sort of a simplified setting. And now if I play both panels at the same time, I'll hear both the piano and the synth at the same time, but my piano is going to go out of 1 and 2 only, and my synth is going to go out of 3 and 4. So you can take this to another level. You could just say on Panel B, I'm also going to turn on piano, and maybe it's not a grand piano, maybe it's going to be, let's say, a clavinet or an electric piano, and you could say that on Panel B only, we're going to have a destination for the piano on 1 and 2. So now let's wrap our head around that. If I go to Panel A, I've got all my sounds coming out of 1 and 2, which include the piano. On Panel B, I also have a piano, and now presumably it'll be a different type of piano, so there'll be some distinction there. But I have my synth going out of 3 and 4 because all sounds go out of 3 and 4 unless sub is invoked, and it is, so piano will go out of 1 and 2. So in this case, all my pianos go out of 1 and 2, and my synth goes out of 3 and 4. So I wanted to throw you a slightly more complicated setup so that you could get your head around how all this works and where the overrides are. Okay, I want to bring to your attention some notable exceptions when you're using the output channels. The first notable exception is this: sounds using the rotary effect are always routed to channels 1 and 2 regardless of the output routing settings. What does that mean exactly? It means if you've routed organ on channel 3 or 4, and you're playing along and everything's working great, the moment you click the rotary speaker, the moment you enact that or enable it, the sound immediately stops from channels 3 and 4. In other words, anytime you use the rotary speaker, it's only routed through channels 1 or 2. So when you're using organ, you probably don't want to put it on channel 3 or 4, especially if you're planning on using the rotary speaker. So that's the first exception. The second exception is another interesting one, that the reverb and the compressor only works with, are only present on the main output. Now, what do I mean by main output? Well, you remember we were playing with this just a moment ago here in the video, where we took a look at the system settings, and we had the main and then the sub. Only the main output settings, channels 1 through 4, no problem there. Only those have the effects of compressor or reverb enabled. If you do a sub, for example, and you do sub and you want to expect to get the reverb out of the sub, you're not going to get it. So that's how that works. So if you're planning on using reverb and compressor, make sure that the sound you hope to use that for is set within the main setting, that left side of the option, not the sub setting. Okay. So thanks for joining me on this video. I hope that it was handy for you if you are at a point now where you need to actually have some control over your output settings and you want to take advantage of that very cool feature here on the Nord Stage 3. Join me for other videos while we look around at some other things. We talk a little bit about the Electro 5, we do some comparisons, we do some music composition, and there's a lot more to come. So stay tuned and feel free to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of that good stuff if you're a Nord owner. And even if you're not a Nord owner and you want to be, or you're looking to be, or you're about to be because you're waiting for your keyboard to be shipped, then definitely check out the videos and you'll be well prepared when it does arrive to know a thing or two about what's going on. That's great. Now, the other thing to note is that when you're working with Nord, you want to keep an eye on the nordkeyboards.com website, because that's where you're going to be able to download any new features and or new upgrades in terms of the operating system. So you want to make sure you keep your operating system up to date. especially on the Nord Stage 3, which it has been changing. In fact, today is August 25th, and not so long ago there was a brand new update for the Nord Stage 3 on the operating system. They also occasionally update their user manuals for those of you who are looking at the user manual, and they also update other things like the sound libraries and the sample libraries. So, stay tuned with that. Stay in touch with your Nord. Use the Nord Sound Manager. I've got videos all over the place for that if you really want to master that. So that's just being a good citizen to your Nord and a professional musician. You want to make sure you keep up to date on all this stuff and keep everything humming beautifully. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.